Warning, this episode contains mild to heavy explicit spoilers. Listen at your own risk.
Reviews, discussions, and theories about films in horror, sci-fi, and genre. This is The Horror Deconstruction. Like, share, and subscribe to hear more.
A mysterious point of view floats above a secluded lakeside spot as it speeds up to seemingly assault a young woman reading a novel by the docks. Psych, it's not what you think it is, but a drone controlled by a douche boyfriend of another unseen third character. The bothered young woman decides to talk to the seemingly ill cousin of hers when it's revealed that she's actually possessed. After a scalping, facial mutilation, and a decapitation, we are yanked a day back in time into the urban streets of Los Angeles. Another young woman takes a pregnancy test in a bathroom of a bar she's working as a guitar tech for a band at. She realizes her life is about to astronomically change, unbeknownst to her in more ways than one, as she makes her way to her sister's home in a rundown apartment building. Her sister Ellie lives with her 3 children, Danny, Bridget, and Cassie. Soon they'll get through an earthquake, which reveals quite possibly the worst kind of unnatural disaster anyone can know. That film is...
Evil Dead Rise! Did you see how my voice went up?
Yeah, it was good. Welcome to the Horror Deconstruction with your host, KOMP and...
Boom, 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 boom.
And it's been a while since Danny's been on, since I spoke to him and Thea. You know what they told me? I literally spoke to both of them. They said they would rather do anything in this world than spend 20 minutes a week talking to me. So,
it's true.
Back to the show. Hey, Danny, I got a joke for you. I'm going to edit it out because it's offensive. All right, listen to this one.
Okay.
What would Kid Rock's name be? Holy!
He would not appreciate that joke. He'd probably start shooting cans of beer if he heard that joke.
All right. So, Danny, we're talking about Evil Dead Rise. This is a film directed by Lee Cronin. It's written by him, too. He's an Irish guy. Starring Mirabai Pease, Richard Crouchley, Anna Marie Thomas, and a whole bunch of other actors and actresses. Mm-hmm. And this is obviously the new reboot.
The guy's made almost nothing. It's surprising he got such a big film.
It's the new reboot, requel, sequel in the Evil Dead, I guess, filmography, correct?
Yeah.
And
you don't really, I mean, I don't even really remember 2013 that much, but like, this is a standalone film.
But people love the 2013 Evil Dead reboot, sequel,
I didn't really
whatever
care for it at the time.
I got to
rewatch it.
But it's unbelievable how much love is for the 2013 film, because I just recently saw a ranking by some regular people, just people anyway, and they put Evil Dead. They're like, what's good is Evil Dead Rise is okay. Evil Dead the original is better, but Evil Dead the remake from 2013 is the best. And I was like, what are these people smoking? Because
I don't know about that.
They don't rank Evil Dead 2 either.
It's going to be first of all, Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness are the best ones. That's just a fact. I'm sorry.
That's what I see, and I'll get into that conversation. But it's like people really, really loved Evil Dead the 2013 reboot. For some reason, they love it more than the whole franchise. And
it doesn't feel like Evil Dead. That's what I remember.
And we'll get into that. And I will. And this is the Old Man Complain podcast about Evil Dead franchise. But people have made the pretty good assumption that Evil Dead is the only franchise that hasn't had a bad entry in it yet, like an awful entry. Which I
would agree with that. Yeah, that's true.
So, why don't we get into this film a little before we get into that old man complaining section? So this is, why did you pick Evil Dead Rise, Danny?
Well, because it's a new Evil Dead movie. And I read great things about it, and I don't know. They
hyped it up pretty good. Same. I wasn't interested in watching this. In fact, I didn't plan to watch this. But since Danny was like, hey, let's do this, I was like, oh shit, I haven't spoken to Danny while on this show, so why don't we do it? And I was like, yeah, it ended up being exactly what I kind of expected for the new Evil Dead films to be. Okay. So let's get a little bit into the film itself.
Not me, I was pleasantly surprised, to be honest. Beth and Ellie are the main chicks. Ellie is the one that's, the mom that goes,
Right. Played by Anne Marie Thomas.
Played by Alyssa Sutherland.
Alyssa Sutherland, excuse me.
Yeah.
That off the bat though, she's the best thing in the film.
She's great.
Alyssa Sutherland, because she has a very model look to her, where she's very slim and tall, and she's actually a pretty good actor too, and
Hmm.
her face fits the makeup effects pretty good. Like that's one of my things with the new Evil Dead franchise is that they decided to step away from having like creative, artistic looking monsters
Hmm.
in lieu of just putting contact lenses on people. Like
I
now that
think I
represents
think
evil.
that she was a good one, though. I don't know.
No, I think she's good. That's why I was like surprised at how good she was. But
Yeah.
now, like, there's no monsters like the ones that are underneath the in the basement. You know what I mean? Like, there's no
Yeah.
monsters that look like that anymore. There's none of the creatures from Army of Darkness. There's nothing that looks like that anymore.
Oh,
That's
I
like,
love Army of
yeah, like they're
Darkness.
not very stylized monsters. Like to me,
Although I have to say that final monster was great.
yeah, yeah, it was fine. For me, it looked like sort of a generic thing, but I'm still coming from the fact that, like, to me, what does an Evil Dead movie mean to you? Like, what has to be an Evil Dead movie for it to be like an Evil Dead movie?
Well, this is what I didn't like about 2013. Humor needs to be in it.
Right.
Like for sure. Like this movie is funny, this new one. And obviously the
You thought
first
so?
uh yeah, I mean it's not as funny as some of the others, but there's definitely like a humor, like a dark humor. The 2013 didn't have any humor to me. That's why I didn't really care for it too much.
To
Like I don't
me,
even remember what I said at the time, but like I've never really watched it again because I just don't care.
yeah, to me, the humor in this is like a humor in a Jurassic Park movie. Do you know what I mean? It's like a. Nah, I don't really need to take away. I love Jurassic Park, but like it's sort of that humor, like a crowd pleasing humor, where it's not like the sort of
Right.
stupid humor that Sam Raimi did with Evil Dead, which is like a smart, stupid kind of comedy to it. That's why like they
Hmm.
reference a lot of Three Stooges. Like I mean, if you look at Army of Darkness, that's
Oh,
literally
it's
Sam
totally Three
Raimi
Stooges.
doing
Yeah.
what he wanted to do. Like it's full of three. There's a Ash fighting with somebody, and he's like fending off Three Stooges moves. Like that's what to
Well, that's
me.
actually my main complaint about this
Right.
movie too. Is there's
Go
not
ahead.
enough humor. So no, I was gonna say it's not weird or funny enough for me, but it's more there than 2013.
Yeah, for me, an Evil Dead movie needs Ash Williams. That's what it means to
Yeah.
me. Because I was talking to somebody online, and they were like, "Oh, these movies don't need Ash. Like the movies can keep going." And I'm like, "Well, can you do like a Hellraiser movie without Pinhead in it? Do you know what I mean? Like it's a pretty substantial character in the
I don't
movie.
know. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I love it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Ash, and
Even the
Bruce
Friday
Campbell
the
is the
13th
shit.
movie that didn't have Jason in it, there was a guy dressed as Jason doing Jason things. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
to me, this isn't for anybody else. I'm not talking for anybody else's feelings on this movie. Evil Dead to me has to have Ash in it. It has to have Ash, or so like Evil Dead, the television show, Ash versus Evil Dead. That's what that show was to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I feel. It needs that sort of wacky humor and sort of creativity. Because now when it's just like people possessed, now it's just like
He was in it technically twice.
oh, what was it?
He
He was a voice right in the beginning of this one.
he did one of the voices of like the priest or something, and also apparently he made the sound of the eyeball crunch.
Oh,
He
okay.
bit into an apple,
Yeah.
which is pretty funny.
Well, that's two ways to look at
I
it.
don't know.
Evil Dead, Ash versus Evil Dead did not survive because it was on a channel that nobody is going to subscribe to, which is Stars. Nobody knows about that channel.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to get it. And it was the most pirated show pretty much for that time besides Game of Thrones. So
but
that's
it was
why
great.
I wish had that show been on Netflix originally, maybe it would have had a better chance. Or maybe if it was on, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Netflix cancels everything. But back to this film, the thing I will give to it, I like that it had that sort of demons approach to it. We never saw Demons 2. We saw Demons 1, which was like the Italian
Yeah.
movie about the demons
I think I've
attacking.
seen them. I think I've seen them on my own though.
Okay, so Demons
I'm not
was the
remembering.
Italian film
The
about
movie theater one was
right.
like all hair metal and shit. Yeah, yeah.
And Demons 2 is about an apartment complex being attacked by the monsters, and that's the only one that I correlated with this film because we don't necessarily see a lot of horror movies dealing with an apartment complex besides like
Mhm.
Poltergeist 3, which I never
Wreck.
saw. Wreck is an apartment complex too, so that's a good one. But this one,
Oh, people under the stairs.
yeah, that too, but that's like a house. That's not an apartment complex.
Okay,
So
okay,
with
okay.
this one, I gotta say it looked beautiful. It's a beautiful looking movie. The way it's shot and the way it's
Yeah.
directed, it's like a crisp looking film. Like what we deal with the original Evil Dead movie is that it's it's in one sort of room, the original Evil Dead, but they made it entertaining because all the characters are like, it's frantic sort of directing and editing. And in this,
I know it's blasphemy, but like the first Evil Dead is honestly, it's one of my least favorites.
yeah,
I
people don't like that
appreciate
one.
it
Yeah,
as a groundbreaking thing and what it did, but I'm all about the second one, you know.
yeah. So with
So
this one, now we're back to sort of cramped quarters, dealing with Ellie and her family. And Ellie has three kids, and they're pretty much fitting the stereotype of like the one daughter who is a protester. So I'm sure there was people who are thin-skinned going, oh, this is too woke, whatever. There's the character who I believe is playing Danny, who is played by a trans actor.
Oh really?
Yeah, and I was like, I'm sure conservatives are like watching the movie going, see, they caused this evil. But I like that actor a lot. They were
Yeah, right. They summoned the words and everything. Yeah.
he ran into Target and ripped down fucking rainbow flags for some reason. Idiots. But anyway, and then there's
Oh
also
God, I heard about that. Anyway,
and
yeah.
then there's a little girl, Cassie, played by Nell Fisher, who's also cool. The kids are good actors. They're very good actors. The main
Mhm.
sisters, everybody in this movie is a good actor. So
Everyone's a great actor.
yeah.
There's no bad actors in this.
So obviously the main girl, the main woman is pregnant. We learn because she's taking that pregnancy test. She's a guitar tech at this, and
She
everything
made her
would see.
pee-pees on the little thing.
I thought originally that this movie took place in New York, but it's taking place in Los Angeles, and they're in a building that's going to be, I guess, condemned or destroyed, or they're
Mhm.
going to move everybody else or whatever. So Ellie has a husband who's not there anymore. He left the
On the
family.
bright side, though, Ellie doesn't have to worry about moving anymore because she's dead.
She's moving in hell now. Um,
Yeah.
which is also a thing back to 2013 because people like rave about 2013, but I don't think enough people saw it because if
I
20
need to see it again. I know it's like technically it's a good movie.
yeah,
It's
people
just
love that movie,
not.
but
It
2013,
doesn't feel like Evil Dead.
I gotta wonder if 2013 was like if it made enough money, then how come we weren't still following like Mia? Do you know what I mean? Like why weren't
Yeah.
we following that character? Because the plan for that originally was Mia was supposed to survive that and then
The new
team.
Ash.
And she was supposed to team. No, she was supposed to team up with Ash, and they were supposed to
Oh,
do an Evil
really?
Dead
I didn't
movie
know
after
that.
that. But like that movie came out, and like I don't know. I guess it must have underperformed because we never saw those characters again. Like that was it. And Bruce, who plays Ash, he's not gonna
Bruce
play Ash.
Campbell, yeah.
He's not gonna play Ash in live action anymore. He's just gonna do an animated series
Hasn't he
instead.
been saying that forever though? I don't
Yeah,
know.
but he's gonna
If
do.
they do an animated show, that would be fucking
That's what
awesome
they're
too.
doing. Yeah, that's what they say they're doing. I wish it was like an animation, like Japanese animation. That'd be great because it wouldn't look cheap like American animation. But who knows? So now we're dealing
Yeah.
with these new characters, and how would you describe the family dynamic between these characters?
Yeah, it's like a generic nice family. It's fine. I you know, the problem isn't with the family or the writing or anything. The problem is that there's just too much like not enough fun stuff happening, and it's only an hour and a half,
Yeah,
but it feels a little sluggish at points.
yeah. So
Uh,
what happens is
like how many times could you slowly peek out from a corner? Like do more things. Come
yeah,
on.
especially in sort of a one roomed apartment. Like they figured out how to do that in the original film in a cabin. But for some reason, they
Yeah.
can't figure out how to do that with this one. I don't know why that is, but it seems like they're trying to find reasons to get them out of the room.
Also, they barely utilize the corpses outside. Like they could have done more.
Oh yeah, of course. So Danny, so there's a whole big thing where the sisters have to talk to each other, to kind of figure out what they're gonna do with moving out because they need to find a new place. They
Mhm.
don't have any idea. I think they only have a month left, for her to stay there.
Yeah, a month left. I think they said.
And so Ellie sends her kids, Danny, Bridget, and Cassie, out to go get some pizza. And when that happens, there's a big earthquake, which I liked. I thought that was cool that the earthquake sort of opened up this little cavern. I wouldn't go inside of a hole to look for records. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
I'm not that interested in finding shit like that.
I wouldn't. Also, there'd be like bugs and stuff in there. No way. I'm not
Yeah,
doing that.
and so Danny Danny is like a DJ because they're always doing it's like really like corny DJ. It's like movie DJ kind of stuff that they're doing in the film. But Danny gets the record, turns it on, and of course, what happens next?
It's the recording of people reading the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
Not good.
So now that
It's really like he's just stupid. It's his fault. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm sort of realizing now. That's what this is. With these movies that they
what?
have to constant now it seems like every one of these movies they're just going to keep summoning they're going to find a way to summon the monster every film from now on. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Mhm.
that's how 2013
Well, it's
started.
the same shit with all of these franchises. Like,
Yeah,
you
like
have to.
so Evil Dead like part 2, Evil Dead was like a remake of Evil Dead 1 but a requel sort of thing. It's that might be the first requel ever made. And then also like but at least Army of Darkness started off with a progression of the storyline so they didn't have to like open the book and then do all that crap again. Although
Right.
I'm sure there was a recap at the beginning of that also. But now it seems like these latest two reboots have the same thing happening at the beginning. They'll show people get attacked by the Evil Dead, then it cuts to modern day, where then they'll obviously, well, this is a reverse of that in a way. But now they just have to like find ways for them to keep finding these records every time. Like I don't know how many times they're
Yeah, I
gonna do
don't.
these
I don't
records.
mind that part. That's fine.
And
It's like
is
whatever.
this record connected to the one in 2013? Do you know what I mean? Because like this is a completely different group of people that must have found the book, and the book looks
Right.
different. The art. What did you think of the art inside the book?
It's cool.
Yeah, I thought it
I
was
liked
fine.
it.
I thought it could have been better, but whatever.
The
Um,
only things that bother me about this movie are they didn't utilize the time enough,
yeah,
or like make enough things happen. Like they could have added like funny, weird, like in like 10 different spots,
because I know
but they didn't.
they made a big deal about the cheese grater in the movie, and I was like, oh, okay, this must be disgusting. And it was like literally 1 second of a cheese grater going up a
Yeah,
leg, and I was like, that's not like
I do like the cheese
no, it's
grater, but
fine,
like
but it
when you
wasn't
think of
as
like
bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Terrifier, for example, where
Right,
he's like rubbing salt in this thing, it's like a 5 minute torture
right.
scene. Like that's extreme. It doesn't have to be that extreme, but like
But now we know these movies.
they're demons.
We now know that these movies can be extreme because I guess Terrifier 2 was an NC-17 movie, right? I guess I didn't realize if it was
Terrifier 2 is like brutal,
yeah,
and
it could.
like
I guess
you
it must
don't
have been a
have to be
beyond R.
that
Yeah, it
brutal
was
to
probably
live up
beyond
to it.
R-rated, so they can't really pull that off in this if they want an R-rated film. But
But they don't need to. They could do like half of that, and it would be fine. Like,
yeah, true. But going back to Elle, who's the big bad in this film, Alyssa Sutherland, she is like this towering figure, and I don't feel like they. I think they used her fine enough, but they didn't kind of, they didn't. I don't know what I'm saying. They didn't really use her to her full potential. I think in this movie, like I
yeah,
think
I agree.
everything that she does in this movie is great, and when she's on screen, she's fantastic. But I still feel they could have done a lot more with her. It's like she's in the house, she's attacking them, then they lock her out, and then like for the rest of the movie,
Yeah,
that's it. And it's just like that's it. Like I want her to, she
yep.
should be like the actress is great enough that she could have been like
Or
the
if they're
part.
not gonna, if she's gonna be locked out, then fine, have stuff happen to the people in the house, which they did one person, but it took like a half an hour. Also, like they could have done a lot of stuff in between. They could have had like the corpses like get possessed and climb outside the building on the ledge and sneak through the window, like sort of stuff, like anything. Like there could have been more, is what I'm saying.
I
But it's still good.
I
Like I liked it.
appreciated that they actually had kids be the main ones that get killed in this because like
No,
kids are usually not killed in horror movies. They usually sort of keep them as safe, and obviously the little girl Cassie, they wouldn't do it to her. But
well they did in Pet Cemetery. Remember,
that's true.
poor Gage.
That's true. Well, with this one, it's like, but that's like that causes everything to happen. It's not like an after effect. Like the rest of the kids were pretty safe in that movie, but in this, like
Yeah.
Danny and the sister Bridget, right? Like they get possessed,
Is that her
and
name?
literally that whole lady's
Yeah,
family is
Bridget.
almost her whole family is literally almost wiped out because of this. So she loses her sister and her niece and nephew, if that's what the nephew is. Um, if that's what they identify as,
I'll
and
swallow your soul.
yeah, so they're those characters killed off like and I was surprised that at least Bridget got changed because I didn't think Bridget was. But then I was thinking about how many people were in the movie, and they weren't like the old guy with the gun got killed off quick. The
Yeah.
neighbor and his two kids get killed off. There's a little kid that gets killed off in that too. And I was like, well, they got all killed off. It wasn't like And that goes to your argument. Like, it wasn't like focused on all these characters scared
Yeah.
together.
They could have been getting possessed. I mean,
Right.
at one point they turned into a big monster, but like they could have done more.
Yeah,
That's it. I don't know why they didn't.
they
Like, because
separated
it's
the
a great movie.
characters. Right. They separated the characters so there's no interaction between anyone really. And it's sort of like, okay, whatever. So the gore is good. The violence is good. It is great visual effects. The acting's good. I didn't really give a crap about any of the other characters who are outside of the apartment. In fact, I probably didn't care about anybody else in the apartment besides
I did
besides
like the
Ellie.
old man. I was kind of wishing he would do more, but oh well.
I wish so too, but it's sort of a wasted time with this movie. Like, so everything I'm saying sounds like it's bad, but I've sort of found this more interesting than the 2013 version. But
I definitely did.
but people would probably be upset about that. But not that I give a rat's ass about that.
My main complaint about this movie is that it could have been a lot better with like little tweaks. You know, like
Yeah.
it had so much potential and it like set everything up great. It's just like, just do it. Like, what are you doing?
I feel like the
I don't know.
writer was like writing themselves into a circle that they couldn't get out of. That they didn't know how to have action take place in one room, as opposed to like Sam Raimi and company did with like two or three movies, or two movies at least. And they
Yeah.
just sort of were like, okay, let's just have something crazy happen here. Let's just have something crazy here, which is what Evil Dead is. Like that, there's no question about that happening in the movies. But they couldn't sort of utilize everything that was afforded to them with this really good cast and really good effects. And I think that's what
Mhm.
people now think about with Evil Dead, that they want it to be just a horrifying experience, sort of like not to use that phrase so easily, but torture porn that
Yeah.
like Hostel was, where it's just like unrelenting violence for the movie, which is fine. I
Yeah, but
like,
that's not what Evil Dead's about.
to me
So I
at
don't know.
least, yeah, and to you too. It's supposed to be like Evil Dead is like a splatterfest movie. That's what it was. So now with modern films, they think a splatterfest is basically like unrepenting violence, which is fine if you want to do that movie, but
Yeah.
that's
And the
not
demons aren't supposed, I mean, yeah, they're evil, of course, but they're funny evil. They're
right.
goofy. Like they're supposed to be like cartoons
Like the
basically.
demons are having fun doing it, and Alyssa Sutherland's Ellie to me is the only one that I think believes is having fun doing any of this violence on these people.
Yeah.
But everybody else is sort of like, when they come back, it's just like they're just doing a wacky smile. That's it, and it's just like, okay. And you got yellow contact lenses. That yellow contact lenses stands in line now for like puppet monsters. Do you know what I mean? And for me, I'm like,
Right.
oh, just give me some monsters. I don't care about these like yellow eyes. Like that doesn't mean anything to me. But they do a good job as the monsters, as possessed, and then it all leads down to a final conflict. And you see how easily we're like sort of passing by the storyline, because there's not much storyline. It's just the main
Yeah.
things are, there's a
The whole
earthquake,
story's laid out in the first 20 minutes and then it's kind of just like, okay.
there's an earthquake, and then these people are trying to avoid these monsters in this room. They should have been better. Like if the apartment had been a little bit bigger, if the apartment had like different characters in it, like if they had a little bit more money, I don't know. Like it seems like they were putting them in to be moved out for no reason. So I guess it was supposed to show that these characters had issues before any of this stuff happens, but I think that didn't add to the storyline at all. Like I guess it was more of a sympathy card. They were supposed to feel bad for these people that were going to be put out, but I really didn't care,
Right.
honestly. They could have just, I guess maybe it was the budget, I guess. But Lee Cronin
I
does.
mean, it's a falling apart building. Somebody could have climbed through a hole in the ceiling that was never fixed due to a water leak and smashed through the ceiling on top of them. Like all kinds of things could happen. I don't know.
Of course, yeah. I saw this French movie about zombies called The Night Eats the World, which is a movie you should see. It's a French movie called The Night Eats the World. Please see that movie. And that was like an apartment complex where it was really interesting about zombies, and they went from one room to another, and that's the same to me. That's what Evil Dead now is. It's like a zombie movie now. It's like possessed, yeah, but it's still zombie stuff going on. And I wish that they had done better. And it all leads to the finale and what happens inside of a parking garage, right? So what happens there, Danny?
I do love the creature though. That was fun.
Yeah,
And the way it
describe
got
the
smushed
creature.
into the thing. It's like all the corpses combine into the with Ellie as the head. I kind of like that.
Yeah, no,
That
I'm
was
sure
fun,
I've
and I
seen
like the
that
way that
somewhere else
gets sucked
before.
into the wood chipper or whatever the hell that
Yeah,
thing
they
is.
did the usual. But anyway,
Okay.
back to this, and They had to put in the chainsaw. That's the one thing that I'll say about 2013, which was better than anything in this film, is the final
Hmm.
like chainsaw scene when Mia chainsaws the demon in half, and it has that great shot of her in the rain or the blood rain,
I'm
like
gonna have to
sawing it in.
rewatch it.
I mean, I'm sure it's not a bad movie. It's like to me, that's like a Michael Bay type of horror movie, but it just has gore in it. And like that director, like he did Don't Breathe, that other movie. And for
I
me, it's
don't
just
care
like,
for that one either.
yeah. So to me, it's sort of a generic horror movie that looked really good, and it was more violent than I thought it would be. And
Yeah.
it still had the tree assault in the movie. I forgot that they still had the tree assaulting a girl in that way, because
Mm.
I know Sam Raimi said, "I wish I had an
They kind of
apartment in
had
the
an
movie."
elevator assault in this one.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah. You're
fun.
right. It did happen. I guess that was that's a reference to that. So it was an elevator with cables
I did
instead.
like that. I thought that was good.
I'm sure you would. And yeah, so I think the positives
What does
obviously
that mean?
nothing. Obviously, I think Alyssa Sutherland is the best thing in this movie. I think I wouldn't mind if the Evil Dead movies just continued with her character being a villain through all of them. I like she was that good in this movie that she's that creepy.
But each sequel, they have to replace it with a different Alyssa. Like the next one's like Alyssa Milano, and then it's like Alyssa Silverstone.
All completely different spelled names, but whatever. And I'm sure in the next one that they'll if this I think this movie made enough. I think it made actually a lot more than the last one did. And people are saying,
Hmm.
"Oh, it's reaching. I think 100 million or something." Because I don't think this movie cost that much to make. Well, considering
Right.
how movies are nowadays. So I'm sure we'll see a sequel, but I'm sure that they'll like change it and they'll have a new way for somebody to find a record, and they just will always forget Ash Williams because this is now what Evil Dead is to people.
I hope they'll beef it up though. Come on.
Same, yeah, because originally this and I mean it leads off with us seeing the future as opposed to seeing the past in the opening of the film. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if her
Yeah.
character, the main character in
Honestly,
this
they could
one,
just start. They could go right there. The evil's already out. It's in the lake. Okay, go to the neighbor's house
right? Because I don't
and
think the
fucking do
main
something.
the main character in this one is strong enough to sort of become an Ash Williams like Mia was, because she's gonna be pregnant, obviously, and then she has a kid in tow, and I don't know if they're gonna try to do a quiet place type of storyline with them. Do you know what I mean? And which is I don't care about that, because the movie was originally
Yeah.
supposed to be direct to video, like HBO Max. But then the test screenings were so positive that they decided to release in the theaters, and it made its money, so that's good. And I'm always happy that a horror movie makes money because somebody
Me too.
there was an article saying, "Oh, it looks like horror movies are finally being revived," and I'm like, hasn't every like top movie in the past couple of months been horror movies that made money? Like, what
Yeah,
are they
horror
talking like
movies going
Barbarian?
strong. I don't know what they're
Horror
talking about.
movies have never had a slump, as far as I know. It's the cheapest movies to make, and like the ones that make the most in its back end. So what ultimately
Yeah.
is ultimately your problem with the film is that it's not funny or clever enough, right?
It's just it doesn't utilize the time, and it's not funny enough, and there's not enough stuff happening. They had so many like openings to do like weird surreal shit, and they didn't.
We've seen plenty of hour and a half horror movies that are like packed with ideas
Yeah.
and stuff going on. So for this to
Yeah.
just be, oh, let's go from this room to that room, uh, especially if you compare it to the, and it sucks because you obviously you're going to compare it to the originals. The originals are always going to be better films, but the fact
Yeah.
that they
I
like,
mean, there's a scene in Evil Dead 2 where it's literally a lamp and a deer head laughing for
yeah,
like 2 minutes. It's like you could do anything. It doesn't have
yeah,
to be like like crazy. Like I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
yeah. So like
That's
the
how I feel.
equivalent to that is a girl chewing a glass and eating it, and then you see the glass going in her neck, and I was like, oh boy, we're in trouble
And
now.
that was a nice little creepy part, but
Which
like
is
have a
fine,
lot
but it's
more
just
of
like,
it.
okay, I guess they're trying to, freak people out. Elle is the only saving grace in this horror for me. I don't think it's a horrible movie, but I think Elle elevates the movie more than it should be. Like
She
there,
elevates.
yeah, elevated it, and she got attacked in an elevator. So
Uh-huh.
I think that's why this one stands out just a little bit above the 2013 remake. And there's people that love that movie, so if they love those movies, then totally fine. And
I
they
don't remember like what I rated it, but like I definitely like this one more. So if
yeah.
my rating doesn't show that compared to my older rating, maybe it's because I just was being generous. I
This
don't know.
is this is about a middle ground for me type of movie. Like the villain is strong, but they're not utilized the whole way. So, what rating would you give Evil Dead Rise 2023?
I give this a 7. I give it a solid 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. DJing a record and killing your mom and your sister and 2 random people at a lake because you just had to climb down a hole and listen to that record.
I would give this a 6 out of 10. Buying a fantastic drone only to have your girlfriend's cousin become scalped and said drone being destroyed, because those are pretty expensive. And with that,
it's a shame.
This has been the Hard Deconstruction. Danny, what is the final word?
Bat 3. Bat 4.